I'm in love with the grind. I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam. Do this for Kenosha.
You know I got you, Kenosha.
If you got the vision, then come a little closer. Let's get it together. Life aligned with the soldiers. I'm in love with the grind. I'm in love with the culture. Do this for the fam. Do this for Kenosha. Yeah, if you got the vision, then come a little closer.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's get it together. Life aligned with the soldiers. I gotta talk to him. Yeah, let's put it together.
All right. Just like that, guys, we're back on the Bears Report with Lester. We took a little hiatus. There wasn't much going on with the Bears, but we are back, and we are here and happy. Lester, how are you today?
I'm doing good, yeah. The little hiatus, like you said, but free agency starts, technically it starts Wednesday, but, you know, the legal tampering period is what they like to call it. Even though that doesn't make any sense. We like to call it the early negotiating period. That's how we always refer to it at the site.
Yes, sir.
That starts Monday at 11 Chicago time, Central. So that's when you'll start hearing a lot of news, and Bears are already making news now.
Yes, sir. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited would you say you are to be back on the Bears Report? Because
I'm fired up.
I've been itching for
ready,
this.
Man. You're good.
So let's go ahead and dive right into it.
Yeah.
Wow, was there a wave today? There was just a wave of excitement, emotions. Well, yesterday, actually, it started.
Started yesterday.
Frustrations, you know. What did you think when you got the message about the Khalil Mack trade?
I kind of knew it was coming. There's been a lot of buzz.
No way.
Well, there was some buzz at the combine. You know, you start hearing some things, and some people are talking. Like you start seeing the reports.
Yeah.
Like when the beat guys, when they kind of start talking about it, they're not really saying it's a report. But when they all start talking about it at the same time, you feel, well, maybe there's something going on. So, you know, you start hearing some things, and the rumors out there that Ryan Poles is ready to make a move, and he's ready to make a move for anybody. And the number one asset he has is Khalil Mack.
I thought I heard or read somewhere once he first got there that he was on record saying no one's safe or something along those lines. Was that true?
The comment that kind of made me realize what's going on here is he said that, you know, he's looking at the roster through fresh eyes. He has no attachments to any of those guys. So it's not like he's going to come in and, like, for example, Ryan Pace looking at his guys a year to year, those are his guys. Ryan Poles looks at the roster, man, none of those are his people. He don't care. You know, he has no emotional attachment to Khalil Mack, for example. So a trade came up, he made a move.
Now, what do you think this does for the Bears? Because obviously, they save themselves a cap hit and everything like that. But what do you see from a fan standpoint as opposed to an analytic podcaster guy?
I mean, it hurts the team. Obviously, I mean, he's one of the more the best player on the team, you know. But at his age, his injury history, he plays a position while it's a premier position. You know, where the Bears are as a franchise, they had to make a move. As a fan, I'm sad to see him go. He was awesome. I love the way he played football. I love watching his film. But as an analyst, this is the right move.
And perfect timing as well too, because you want to be able to move away from a person like that at the right time, as opposed to on the latter half of his career where no one really wants to touch him, or he's coming off another serious injury as opposed to just the foot injury. Yeah,
well, he had surgery apparently, and from what his brother put out on Instagram the other day was he played with a broken foot part of the year last year. So, you know, who knows how he is? Maybe he'll never be the same guy. Maybe he'll dominate. You know, I hope he does good because, like I said, I'm a fan. I want him to play good. But, you know, the Bears had to make a move at this point. If they would have waited and he had another bad year, another down year, another injury-plagued year, then they never would have got a second.
And what's funny is, well, not funny, and I mean this with no disrespect, but he hasn't had a 10-sack season in the past 3 years.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
He is a premier pass rusher, but yes, he has not been able to get home the last few years. Part of it is
double teams.
The double teams. Part, you know, I look at the Von Miller trade. Von Miller got traded for a second and a third. Mack got traded for a second and a sixth. If you figure out the point value, because the Bears second, they're getting as much higher, the Bears had a pretty good deal. But you also got to look at it where Von Miller got a 2 and a 3 because Von Miller's a better pass rusher. You know, and I know Bears fans don't want to hear that, but, you know, Mack may be a better overall football player, but there's a premium paid for getting after the quarterback, and Von Miller sacks quarterback more than Mack does. So a second and a 6, I think it's a fair deal. That's probably the best that he could get. I'm sure he shopped him all over the place. it's a good move. I think it's a good place for Mack as well because the Chargers are going to be stacked.
Do we know what number that second round pick is?
38, I think it was 39. No, the Bears are 39, and I think the trade they're getting from the Chargers, I think it's like 48.
48.
So they're pretty in pretty good spot.
Almost back to back. What could you see them getting with that now? That they have 2 second round picks.
It's right now that opens up because if a receiver starts falling that they really like, now they have the ammo to go up and get him if that's what they want to do. Because that's another thing Ryan Poles talked about, that they looked at how to help a young quarterback, and the number one way is getting him a stud receiver. So if one starts falling, maybe his former teammate at Ohio State, Chris Olave, maybe he's the guy that falls. Then they go get him. Maybe that's what they do.
Yes, sir. Now, obviously, we still see that Mack is still on the team. You see them keeping him? Or what do you see?
Keeping who?
Robert Quinn. Excuse me. I might have said Mack. I might have said Mack. Excuse me.
It's all good. Yeah, I think Quinn, he doesn't have the same value as Mack does. Even though he had a much better overall sack production year, his value is not there. I think he's worth more to Chicago. So I think they keep him, let him play out at least one more year of his deal, maybe move him at the deadline if he's having another really hot year. But at this point, you're not going to get a 2 for him. I think the best should get maybe a 4, just because, like I said, his age, his overall career arc, he's just not the same overall player. So they'll keep him probably.
Yes, sir. Now we can transition to day 2, because obviously
Day 2.
the Khalil Mack, that was the splash for the Bears report. Day 2, what did you think? I'll let you go ahead and start the conversation for day 2.
Well, first start out with Tarik Cohen. It's unfortunate because he never could get back from the injury. I guess they said it was a failed physical. If he can't pass a physical, that bodes really poorly for his career. He wants to keep playing. I think that's part of why the Bears cut him, is because he wants to latch on somewhere else. He feels he can rehab and get ready to go by September. I hope so. Again, as a fan, I like him. He's a real fun player to watch. Just unfortunate. I mean, obviously that injury he had, there must have been a setback. It was never talked about. He never said anything. The guys who actually covered the Bears never said anything. But something had to happen at some point, because
I'm telling you,
almost 2 years. That's a bad knee injury.
I'm telling you what it is, bro. Because he's a guy that likes to do flips and acrobatic stuff. I'm telling you,
you got the conspiracy.
I'm telling you, he was in a field somewhere in Carolina or whatever, just playing around, goofing off with his people, and he woke up really sore the next day, and now we're where we're at now. So I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory. It's not like I know him or I'm close to the situation or anything like that. But it did hurt to see him leave. But it was much needed. But a question I did have for you: what is injury designation? I'd never heard that before today.
That's just how they cut him. It's there's something in his contract where he's actually protected for injury, so he'll get certain. I think it's like $2.5 million. I think he gets.
Oh wow!
Basically, it doesn't really help the Bears with the cap this year because of that. I know if he was cut like this in the season, like during the season, if you're cut with the injury designation, if you pass waivers, you revert back to the team that cut you, and you go on their IR. But I think now, since the season is over, we're kind of in the real season that started again until Wednesday. I think now he's just. It's just a contractual thing as far as the money goes.
Yes, sir. So before we move on from the Tarik Cohen saga, what do you think it was? You think they were like, okay, we're at the physical now. Oh, he didn't pass. Okay, it's already almost been 2 years you haven't played for us. It's best to go the other way. How do you think that went?
That's probably a plus. Again, like I said, it's not Ryan Poles' guy. He has no attachment to Tarik Cohen. I think he understands the value he brings if he's healthy. But a brand new regime. You got a guy that you can't really count on. It's just better.
What are you gonna say on that?
Well, I mean, because at this point you can't count on him. He hasn't played since September 2020.
Come on, what are you gonna say?
Come on,
cut him some slack, man. Come on.
Hey. Like I said, I'm a fan. I'm a root for him wherever he goes. But as Ryan Poles looks at his roster, says, "Hey, look, I got 2 good running backs now. Yes, I could use Cohen, but he's not healthy. Let's just cut it now. Free agency coming up. I'll have a chance to make my move." And he did. He signed a guy today
from the Titans.
The Titans. His name escapes me. It's I actually wrote an article about it real quick today too, but I can't remember his name. But he's a speedy guy, a kick return guy. But like Cohen, he's had injuries. The last 2 years he's been injured. He only played 1 game last year. He only played 5 games as a rookie in 2020.
Oh no!
But he's apparently healthy, but the Titans kind of cut him, and he passed through waivers, and the Bears got him.
So we shall see. What's next on day 2? Who was it that was next?
Big Eddie Goldman, nose tackle.
28 years old. What? Help me understand.
It's a money thing. I mean, he's the Bears saved like $6 million this year and a bunch more next year. The new scheme is a 4-3. Think back to the old Lovie Smith Tampa 2, same kind of scheme.
Brian Urlacher, Briggs, and Hunter Illemeyer.
I think more Tommy Harris, the guys up front. That's kind of where Eddie Goldman. He's 325, 330. He's a two-gap space eater. This defense doesn't really want that. He could have played in it, but at that money, coming off the season he had, just best again. Let's move on. We'll get the money. He'll get a fresh start somewhere, and I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll catch on somewhere if he wants to keep playing. But at this point, with the Bears, with their roster,
I'm hearing there's a couple other things going on with him where he may not even play football anymore, too. But like I said, that's just all talk.
Yeah, that's a lot of the rumors on Twitter. It was out there that even last year, because he took the year off for COVID. But there may have been something else. Who knows? I mean, he was injured the year prior, so who knows? Maybe his heart's not in it. Maybe he just wants to come back and make sure he got a little bit more cash for his family to make sure everything's taken care of, and maybe he will step away. Who knows? Yeah.
And then there was another move today too. What do you think about that? Or it wasn't confirmed about
the Trevathan. Yeah, there's a lot of Trevathan buzz. Brad Biggs of the Tribune in his article today mentioned that's a likely to happen. Like I said, when these beat guys start saying it's likely, there's probably something going on behind the scenes. But again, he's gone. He makes the most sense.
I know how much you like him and how you know that there's a market for him and everything.
There's going to be a big market for him somewhere. If he does keep playing, it'll be like close to a league minimum contract. He's 31, I think he is now, and had some injuries the last few years. And
lost so many steps. He's lost several steps.
His best time is behind him. He was a really good Bear when he was there, but injuries catch up to everybody, and age does too. And he's his contract, when Ryan Pace gave him that deal, everyone knew that's not a good contract.
Oh, really?
Well, even if he would have stayed healthy and been able to play, it's just too much money at that position. You have Roquan coming up with a big deal coming up soon, so signing him to that extension didn't make any sense at his age.
A lot of people said that the extension of Tarik Cohen made no sense either, though, when they extended him. What do you think about that?
Well, that's Ryan Pace. So Ryan Pace gave him the deal. I mean, Ryan Pace looked at him as a weapon as far as a running back, receiver, combo kind of guy. Mm-hmm. And he was good in that role for a little while, but, at his size, he's a smaller guy. He didn't have any injury issues before, but it's just, again, really unfortunate. And for me, I'm not a big guy that wants to pay running backs. I don't think you want to pay running backs as it is. At least with Cohen, though, he had that double value as a receiver as well. So at the time, I was fine with the contract, but obviously hindsight, we're like, man, that was a bad deal.
Yeah, very, very true. Out of the people who were released so far or traded, who do you think will have the best season or best rest of their career going forward?
Of these three guys, probably Mack. I mean, Mack's going to a good situation with the Chargers. Really good defense. Him and Bosa, man, coming off the edge, that's going to be dangerous.
A playoff contender too. They almost made it. I don't understand why the Raiders did go for the field goal, but I don't know. That just made no sense to me. I just feel like it would have been more fun for the sport if they would have just let the clock run out and say, all right, we're both in the playoffs. Maybe we'll run into you next week.
You play to win the game is the famous quote. So I guess that's why. But I mean, I'm with you. I thought it would have been really neat to see that happen. Never happened before. They're like, let's the hell with it. Let's just both get there.
Yeah.
We're both in, but that didn't happen.
That was a crazy game.
It was.
Also, I saw today that it looks like the Vikings are heavily interested in your boy Akeem Hicks.
I didn't catch that. Is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
And I clicked on it and I saw multiple reports saying that the Vikings are interested.
Because the Vikes, there's some talk they maybe go to a 3-4 defense, so that would make sense. I'm still holding a hope that Hicks comes back to Chicago. I know he's not the prototype for a 3 technique in this scheme, but he's always been able to be a guy that can control his gap. He's got decent first step quickness. Mm-hmm. And I think if you have him in there as a rotational guy, I think you get some real good productivity out of him. But injuries, age, contract, he's probably moving on.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if he goes to Minnesota. I think he'd want to hold out for a legit contender.
Yeah.
And it's not the Vikings.
Yeah. Obviously, this isn't big news for free agency. But what's up with the tweet that I saw the other day about Justin Fields' throwing motion? What was that all about?
He was on Instagram like he is, and there was some people thinking that maybe his motion sped up a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback guru. I can't really attest to that, but who knows? It's possible. I mean, that's what they do. And when the offseason comes, these guys, they get in the lab and they work on what they have to do with their body. And that was a legit concern, is wanting to get the motion sped up. So it's possible.
Now, with the departure of Mack, Goldman, Cohen, all that, do you still see the Bears being that 3 to 5 win team now? Does that hurt them going forward?
I mean, I think, like I said before, that I think if Justin Fields takes a step that a lot of second-year quarterbacks do, I think the Bears can hover around 500 with or without Mack. Mack wasn't going to make a difference. As much as I like Khalil Mack, he's not the difference in wins and losses. It's a quarterback-driven league. Mm-hmm. It's all about the quarterback. If he's better, if the new offense with Luke Getsy is much better than Nagy's was, and that's a given at this point because Matt Nagy's offense was horrendous.
Come on, man. What do you mean he was top 10 all his whole 4 years or however long he was there?
In his dreams, he was top 10. So it's funny. But, with Getsy, I'm excited. I like the Packers scheme. I like how they do it. He's coming from some really cool stuff he did in college, too. So, what he wants to do fits Justin Fields. Just got to find him some receivers.
Yes, sir. That being said, we're almost ready to wrap up this. But I just have one more question for you now. Who do you think will flourish the most on the defensive line now?
I mean, Quinn has the pedigree. I mean, you would think that if he's healthy, he'll have another solid year. I think him going back to a 4-3 defense now is going to help him. Mm-hmm. I mean, because he says he likes playing it better. He signed with the Bears apparently just for the money at the time because he knew he was going to play linebacker, which is not what he wants to do. But he was fine in that role, and he showed last year he could thrive. But hand in the dirt, back to a 4-3 defensive end, I think he'll thrive. But Travis Gibson on the other side, I think he's a guy that he's another reason why the Bears decided we can trade Mack because Gibson can step in. He's not going to be Mack. Mm-hmm. No one's Khalil Mack. But Travis Gibson in 9 starts last year had 7 sacks, 5 forced fumbles.
He was looking pretty decent.
He's looking decent. So I think the Bears are comfortable with those two. And then right now on the inside, they don't have a defensive tackle really that they can count on because Hicks is a free agent. Bilal Nichols is a free agent. So they may have to make a move there.
Yeah. And how do you see the linebacker position playing out?
I think Roquan's going to go to the weak side, play that Darius Leonard role. I'll play the Lance Briggs role for Bears fans to kind of think back to the old Tampa 2 Lovie Smith defense.
Play middle.
He's not on the roster right now.
Bobby Wagner. Say it.
Bobby Wagner's probably going to Dallas.
Really?
That's the hot rumor to rejoin Dan Quinn over there. So I think he may go there. I think he's too expensive. I think set your sights down to like Anthony Walker Jr.
I don't even know who that is.
He played with the Browns last year. He played with the Colts for a few years, middle linebacker for them. Mm-hmm. He knows the scheme. He knows the system. He's a fit.
Nick Kwiatkowski.
I'd be fine with Kwiatkowski coming back. I'm not sure. Is he a free agent still?
I think so. Yeah,
he'd be a guy that could play that middle role. He's definitely a 2-down thumper. Mm-hmm. But at this point, they're not going to spend big. I think they're going to kind of spend really modest at linebacker. Because they need a Mike, they need a Sam. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're on the roster. They did sign a couple free agents already, like 2 weeks ago. Joe Thomas is one guy, and
not the guy from the Browns.
Not the guy from the Browns. It's funny, man. That article I wrote about that Bears signed Joe Thomas. It was like the top article in all of SB Nation.
Oh, really?
The whole day because everyone clicked on it because they can. No, it's not. It's a different Joe Thomas. So, but they signed a couple linebackers, are really good athletes, but they're more special teams guys. So they need a Mike, they need a new Sam.
Well, what about your guy Joel Ayubuniwe or however you say it?
Iggy is gone. He even mentioned
he was horrible. Anyway.
Yeah, he never can latch on. I mean, for whatever reason, he was a good special teamer, so he'll be in the league somewhere next year. But the Bears never trusted him playing the defense, and
yeah.
Was that a coaching thing? I mean, who knows with the Bears coaches? I mean, now we're looking back saying, man, someone who's got coaches were knuckleheads, but so maybe he can play.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't evaluate him very good. So he'll latch on somewhere, but he already had a post on Instagram talking about how he's moving on.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't official, but the tone of it was, thanks, Chicago. Peace out. One of those things.
Oh, go ahead. Kick bricks.
Kick bricks. Oh, well, man, look at you. Like that. You talking about me. That's wrong, man. Look at you.
Well, I'm just saying one by. But, hey, also there's been a couple of offensive linemen out there that the Bears have been linked to as well. because that line is in shambles right now.
Yeah, Eric Fisher was cut. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that can kind of step and probably play left tackle for you. But
Do you think
probably. I mean, the Bears got to decide what they're going to do with Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum. Is Cody Whitehair part of the plans? He's another guy that could be a cap casualty.
He fell off, man.
James Daniels is a free agent. Is he going to get $10 to $12 million a year? If so, he's probably going to get it somewhere else. If he's a little,
why you gotta say all that?
Well, I mean, I think at this point the Bears don't want to spend that kind of money.
Yeah,
I think that, again, they may look at that and say, "Hey, that's a Ryan Pace guy. Let's just get a fresh start." I mean, this is the time for new beginnings for the Bears,
but that just stinks of rebuild mode, though. And you know how hard those are to sit there and watch, though.
In the NFL, your rebuilds only last as long as it takes your quarterback to become the guy.
But Justin Fields could be the guy this year, though.
If he's the guy this year, look at Joe Burrow. He had a horrible offensive line.
He went to the Super Bowl.
So I mean, as long as if you get him a good receiver, if he makes a stride, I'm not saying Super Bowl. Don't get twisted on that because people, Lester didn't say.
Come on, why not say it though? Come on, man.
They have too many holes. I mean, the Bengals were in a better place. Overall, Burrow had more promise at that point in his career. Mm-hmm. We got to see more from Fields. I mean, he flashed as a rookie, definitely. Anyone that says that Fields was bad as a rookie, they want him. They don't want to see any positive. They're looking for it. And the same in the other way. If you say he was great, and you're not seeing the warts because he had some problems too. So, but I've seen enough to know that I think that he has the promise. He has the potential. Now that he's out of that offense, there'll be no more, 43 hook routes a game. There will be some of the crossing routes, some of the rub routes, some of the pick routes. They'll scheme guys open, which is frustrating as a fan because that's Andy Reid's offense in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. Matt Nagy came from that system. It should have been similar. It wasn't. But Luke Getsy, it's that Shanahan-style system. We saw it with the Packers, see it with the Rams, see it with the 49ers. He'll scheme his guys open. So I'm excited to see what happens with Darnell Mooney and
I'm just super excited about Getsy because he was that close to Aaron Rodgers, Yeah. So what to look for and how to evaluate a quarterback as well too, and I'm pretty sure I'm thinking that would be his thought process when offered the job in Chicago. Like, is there anything for me to work with there? And they do have Justin Fields. Like, I'm in. So I'm like, okay, I think the Bears they're going to be on the up and up,
With Getsy, Aaron Rodgers loved him. I mean, he always talked highly of him, but so did Devontae Adams because Getsy was a receiver coach at first.
Oh, wow.
So, he had a lot of praise from those two studs in Green Bay. So, yeah, it's Green Bay, but, those guys are good. And
yeah. Once I did see the news of Aaron Rodgers signing that 4-year contract too, I don't even want to talk too much into it because that could be a whole other episode to talk about.
That's your Packers report.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like my hope for the Bears was like,
I think everyone kind of knew it was coming. I mean, again, the buzz was growing. It's funny because like the guys that cover the NFL, how they flip so quick. Like when they all flip, because at first it was, he may leave. There's the Seahawks, the Broncos, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden, like within one day, they all change their tune. So you're thinking, something's going on behind the scenes. And
how much of that? Because like I said, the sports world is becoming a circus, and I say that to say it's more acting now than anything. Because it was brought to my attention the other day that whatever the girl name that Aaron Rodgers was with, they had broke up a long time ago. But Aaron Rodgers, they paid for a picture to be posted, making it seem like they were still together.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, so it wouldn't hurt his reputation image with like Jeopardy and doing stuff like that too. Because obviously, when you're with someone or married, whatever like that, that's good for business a lot of times.
Yeah.
If you're just the single guy, a lot of people don't want to touch it because they're like, he'll be hard to control. So it's like, how much of that do you think really went into it when it came to like his decision to stay or whatever like that? Like, let's spin the narrative that he may leave or whatever to create this buzz.
Well, Aaron Rodgers likes drama. I mean, that's kind of how he's been, most of his career. He likes the buzz around him. He likes people talking about him. And, there was the big Russell Wilson trade that broke the next day. So that stole the spotlight from Rodgers. And then later on that day, Aaron Rodgers had a statement. Mm-hmm. So it was like he put it out there just to get his name back out there over Wilson's. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, all these top athletes have PR teams.
Yeah.
They have guys that do their socials for them. So
That's going
Wouldn't
to be
surprise
crazy
me.
too. That Russell Wilson trade. That he may be able to push the Chiefs in that division. He may. He may.
The Broncos are good. It's just tough that, with Vic Fangio, he was there. He never had a quarterback. Then all of a sudden they fire Vic, and then they get him a quarterback. So it's like, that's too bad. But
You didn't believe in Drew Lock?
nah, nobody believes in him.
What you mean? What? What you gotta say all that?
He's okay, but I liked Teddy Two Gloves better than Drew Lock.
Okay, I got you. And last question before we get ready to close out this episode: did you see more in Fields for his first year than you saw in Trubisky?
That's a good question. I think I did because they allowed Fields to do more. I mean, there were some games with Mitch where he didn't do anything at all. Like I think might have been the Ravens game. He only had like 8 passes. So they really didn't let Mitch do much. But they let Fields do a little bit more. I think Fields. If I was just judging it off the rookie year, I think Fields has a higher ceiling. Whereas Mitch had a higher floor because Mitch looked like the safer prospect as a rookie.
Yeah, sounds good. And it hurts how they did him, how they did Trubisky. I think there's gonna be a second coming of Trubisky, especially to so many teams that need that star quarterback right now.
We'll I mean, if the Giants go after him, because that's Brian Dable had Trubisky last year in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So if the Giants legitimately pursue Mitch Trubisky, then I'll believe the hype that, hey, he did become better his 1 year because Brian Dable knows quarterbacks. He's not going to go after him. He doesn't believe in him. And Jones in New York is not very good. So if he
what? You don't think he's good?
He's okay. I mean, he's nothing special. I mean, he's had 4 years and he leads the league in interceptions and fumbles every year.
You gotta say all that, man. Come on.
He's a turnover guy. That's what he is.
Oh
he's
my
not,
God.
That's your job. You can't turn the ball over. So if he wants Mitch, then I'll believe that some of the Mitch hype. But right now, I think it's just all Mitch's agents fluffing him up.
Yeah.
People saying, "Oh man, the Giants are after him. Oh no, this team's after him." I think right now we'll see. We'll see what happens on Monday at 11 o'clock.
Yes, sir. That being said, we're all set with the Bears report here. Lester, thank you for coming by, sir.
Sure.
You calling or you listening, tune in every week. Line for line. Oh yeah, I'm going line for line.